So as I said, there are more than one ways to draw this pattern, the 48 triangle pattern. And I'm now going to show the other way that I know how to do. And so I'm going to, on my template this time, I'm going to mark everywhere it says 90, 60, or 45. So I'm actually going to make 8 marks around my egg. And I did already mark where the top was. And this was the way, when I was trying to figure it out, how I first drew it. And then I learned the other way, which also made sense to me. But either one of these work. So now we're going to draw 4 lines around the egg like this. So here we go. Here is. And again, I'm drawing these very dark so that you can see them. And when I draw 8 lines, I still draw them perpendicular. I think that's the right term. Okay, and now we'll draw the one that goes in between there, all the way up, down, around, and the last one. And you can look at both of these and you can decide which way is easier for you. Whichever way is easier for you is the right way. Okay, now I've lost my adorable new tape measure. All right, tragedy averted. I found it. Because I lost my green one. I would have been very sad to have lost this one. All right, so we are now going to mark at the 4 centimeter. I'm going to mark every other line. You can mark all the lines if you want, but I'm just going to mark every other one. Okay, I really like the bunny tail, but it might have to go, or I might have to start measuring from a different point than the one. But it's so cute. Okay, now we'll draw the equator. Okay. Now we're going to, on the other one we drew the diamonds. So we're going to draw the diamonds, but here we already have this point. So this time I'm just going to try to eyeball it. So I'm just going to try to draw there, 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 and there. Okay, so I did not measure, I just drew it. Now what I am going to do though is I'm going to kind of come here, I'm going to skip that line and right about there because I want them to be about the same size. And it doesn't matter a whole lot because by the time you get everything else on there, you don't really notice it. All right, so there's 2. Skip. And the last one. Looks like it's about like that. So let's draw that one. So we have the 4. Now the other way you could have done this was to draw a big X. That would be another way to do it. However you do it, it's up to you. Whatever's easiest. Okay. I prefer to draw diamonds, but so you could have drawn an X and then skip that line and drawn another X. But the important thing is you have to skip one of the lines. And now we're just going to draw this 1, 2, 3, 4. See, in my mind, it's easier for me to draw the diamonds, but that's my mind. Scary, I know. Oops. And there we have another version of drawing the 48 triangle. Okay, now in this one, we're going to add some extra elements, but I am going to, I'm going to show you that. I'm going to draw it with the dark pencil, and then we will, I will wax it on a white pencil, because again, this one I'll add some, I'll dye this one dark for the initial lines, but I have another one that I've drawn lighter colored, but first we're going to draw some extra lines on this one. Okay, we have all of our lines drawn on here to divide it into the 48 triangles, and now we're going to add some additional lines. And I'm going to draw these all in all of the sections. You don't have to. If you draw a couple and say, okay, I get it, I know what to put in the rest of them, you don't need to draw it in all of them. But if you're just starting, I would recommend you do that. I certainly did when I started, and sometimes I still do. So what I'm going to do, in our other one, we put dots in this section right here. What we're going to put here is a line, and it's going to go like this. And we're going to skip that one, and then we're going to go here. Skip. Skip. Here. Okay, and it looks like that. Now we're just going to repeat that on the other ones. I'm going to start there. Skip. 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 And then here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And no, I did not measure these, but I would say they're about a quarter of an inch if you want to measure them. I'm not. I'm just eyeballing it. And what you want to do is you want to draw these, so that they're all the same direction. So they're all about a quarter of an inch that way. Now we need to do the top and the bottom. So similar to the other ones, that has a line, that has a line, that's empty. So we're going to draw it there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the same thing on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now we have all of those lines on there. Now we're going to draw another line that is in the empty spaces. And these are going to go like this and like that. So kind of a different direction. So it's really important that you pay attention to which section you're working on and which direction you're drawing the lines. So what I do is I start toward where the point is, or where the center is, I'm going to call it. And I draw up. I'm going to draw right like that. And it's also about a quarter of an inch. I turn it. I draw that one. Turn it. That one. Turn it. That one. So it looks like that. I know that looks a little confusing now, but we are going to get through all of this. Okay, so now let's do the next one. So I'm going to draw there, and there, and there, and there. And we'll do this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to do the bottom. And I actually videotaped this sequence once and didn't have the microphone on, so I'm doing it again on a different egg. And on the other one, I drew the line going this way by mistake. So, because I wasn't starting at the center, I started here rather than the center. So this is the center. So I was not paying attention. And 4. Okay, and then the top. And I know this looks like a lot of lines. We're going to wax these in the order that we drew them. That's what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to wax these in the order that I drew them. Although I'll probably, well, yeah, I will. I'll wax them in the order that I drew them. And then I'm going to dye it yellow. Now, I'm actually not going to do that on this one because the lines are really dark. And if I dyed it yellow, then you would see these pencil lines underneath, which I don't want. So I have another one that is drawn lightly that I will wax all of those lines, dye the egg yellow, and then I'll come back and show you what we're going to do to wax the egg while it's yellow. So not every line on here is going to get wax. All right, and I am going to use my Luba's Electric with the medium tip to wax all of these lines. And I am back. I have all of the lines waxed white and I've dyed the egg yellow. This was the Ukrainian gift shop yellow. And now I'm ready to wax the parts that I want to stay yellow. And what I'm going to do in each one of these sections, I'm going to do a little wavy line like that. Maybe. Okay. Let's try cleaning this out. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, there's better line. So we'll go over, okay. And then I'm going to put little lines that go up like this. Now I'm going to turn it. I'm going to do the same thing over here. A wavy line. And then these little straight lines that go up just to the wavy line. This one. And this one. All right. So I'm going to do that in all of those sections. Then I am going to take my light green dye from, this is also Ukrainian gift shop dye. And I am going to use my little micro brush here. I'm just going to barely dip it in. And then in these sections, I'm going to paint in with the green. I love these little micro brushes. I got it in a goodie bag from Potter, and There were like 3 of them in there, and I loved using it so much I bought another set of them to use in my classes. So they're a little easier to control the dye. So then I will blot that off. And now I am going to wax a little pine tree in here, or a pine branch. So I'm going to start at the bottom, where near the center point. Draw a line straight up, but not all the way to the top. And then I'm just going to put little lines, and it's okay if they touch the white line. Okay. All right. See that? And I'll do that on all of these other ones here. And it's not cooperating again. I'll try this. Okay, here we go. Oh, yes, that's much nicer. And we'll do this one. Now, normally I would do all of the yellow first, and then I would go back and put on the green dye and wax the green. But I thought I could show 2 colors in the same section of the video. Alrighty. So there we have, I have the yellow lines, yellow wavy lines right here with the little lines, and then I have the pine needles. The pine needles are everlasting life. The wavy lines, I think about God being with me in the ups and downs of life. So I'm going to do that in all these other sections. And then I'm going to dye the egg in orange. And this will be the Ukrainian gift shop orange. And then where you will see where I don't have wax on the green, that will disappear. It will all be orange because the orange dye does not have vinegar in it. So it kind of washes away stuff. So that's going to be our next color after I finish all of this. So here I have the Pysanky with all of the yellow waxed and all of the green waxed. And now I'm going to put it in the orange dye. And I'll leave it sit for a few minutes. Okay, it's been about 3 minutes, so let's take it out and see what our egg looks like. And looks pretty good. Move this out of the way. There. Yeah, that's a beautiful orange color, and as you can see where there was the excess in here, it's all an orange color. So I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes, and then we'll start waxing everything we want to stay orange. So here we have our Pysanky, which is now orange, and we're ready to add wax to all of the elements that we want to stay orange. And after I get some wax in it, we are going to add a curl, or also known as a ram's horn, and this is a sign of God's protection. So I am going to put it in this triangle right here that is next to the pine leaf. So it's going to start at this point here, not necessarily at the exact point of it. It's off a little bit. And then I'm going to go right around like that. Okay. And this is where you got to really pay attention to what you're doing. So where did I do it? I did it on the line with the green. Okay, so it's going to be in every other open spot. And here, right like that. Okay. All right, and we'll come over here and do the next one. Oops. I don't normally like to go over lines, but this Kiska this tip has been used a little bit, and it's got, I don't know if you can see it, it's got a little slant to it. So when I'm making these swirls, sometimes it just where the wax is coming out just doesn't touch it. And that's okay for it to have kind of a nice big orange line on it there. That'll be pretty. Yeah, and I'm going to keep working my way around that. When I get to the top and bottom, it's the same thing. Just going to make the swirl right like that. Right like that. There we go. All right, I'm just going to keep doing that all the way around, and then the next color I'm going to do is going to be dyed into I'm going to dye it in the Scarlet. That is kind of an orangey red, and that will show up very nicely against our final color, which I think I might do black again. All right. So we're back, and we have our egg dyed. This color is the Ukrainian Gift Shop Scarlet over the top of the Ukrainian Gift Shop Orange. So now we're ready to wax all the elements that we want to stay red or scarlet. All right, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to take a little bit of I'm not going to call it a risk, but changing how I would normally approach the red. Usually I feel like with red, the red shades, less is more. But I'm feeling red today. So the first thing I'm going to do is the space in between where I have the wavy line and here. This little space here. I'm going to put wax there. That's not a big area, but that's what I'm going to do. Okay. I am using still the medium, and that's okay. It's not flowing out super fast, so I can control it because it is kind of a little area there. So we're going to do that. So let's do that on all 4 of these. And I am still using the blue wax. You can see it on top of the red. Only thing you really have trouble seeing the blue wax on is when it's blue, which kind of makes sense, but I had to experience that before I learned it. So just passing that information along to you. And then I will look at this under a magnifier before I put it in the final color. Okay, so we did those 4. Now what I'm going to do is where we have this swirl, I'm going to put I'm going to put 3 dots, I think, on each one of them. So just 1, 2, 3. And some of these, like here, there's not quite as much room, but I can still squeeze in 3 little dots. All right, now the last thing I'm going to do with the Scarlet is this big area right here that doesn't have any wax in it yet. That's where I'm going to put some what I call netting. And I'm going to use this line and this line for my netting. So the line that goes across the top is not going to have any lines drawn. So I'm going to draw this way. And I'm trying to keep them evenly spaced as best I can. And it won't be the same number of lines in all of these because they're all different shapes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it and I'm going to draw the lines going this way. So I followed this line and now I'm going to follow that line. And I'm going to kind of line it up with where it touched up here at the top. All right, there we go. All right, we'll do that again. So I'm going to start here. So when I look at the egg, I'm starting on where it's slanted. That's kind of how I'm viewing it. And then turn it and draw them down. Well, we'll finish up this one, and then I'll repeat this in all the other sections. And netting is a symbol for being fishermen, fisher people for Christ, for gathering people into Christ's arms, bringing them to Christ. Thinking of the first apostles being called that were fishermen, just humble guys doing a job. And Jesus said, "Hey, come follow me." And they did. All right. All right. So that is what I will be doing in all the other sections, and up at the top and bottom, dyeing it. I think I'm going to go with black again. I think it will make the colors pop out the most. So I'll come back and we'll have a completed Pysanky. And here we have the completed Pysanky. And I like it. I don't think the red is too overpowering. I really like the way this one turned out. So 48 triangle, a little more elaborate than the first one we did. And because I had the egg that had the darker lines on it, I also did this one. So this is also 48 triangle. Same pattern as what I drew here. The difference was I dyed this one first in the dark blue because the lines were dark. I waxed all the light blue, or the dark, I'm sorry, I used royal blue. And then I washed it off, and I actually dyed it in a very light blue, which is a tablespoon of prepared light blue dye, a tablespoon of vinegar, and a cup of water. So, and I waxed those areas, and then I washed it back to white. So, same pattern, same division, but they look completely different. All right, so next week I'm going to do another way, another version of dividing a 48 triangle egg, and we're going to do something a little different with that design. So stay tuned, and that'll be next week. So thanks for watching.